right, welcome back to the We Is Smart podcast. I'm B-Dub with Tommy K.
Dr. Lib.
All right, and
I'm going silent today, fellas.
Yeah.
Hey.
I would stand, but
well, wait, you said you're going silent. You already
standing
talked.
ovation.
I'm giving it a thumbs up, even.
Well, that silence didn't last long.
Well,
I think-
sign language.
I think that's a fractured fairy tale, actually.
I mean, yeah. He said he's going silent, and then he talks. I'm like, how is that going silent if you're going to talk right after? Anyways.
Have Bob talk for you.
Oh.
Gary,
Bob.
no, please
All
no.
right.
Make
As I
him
said,
stop.
welcome
Where's
back.
the mute button? I think I've had too much Mountain Dew already. It's only been, 2 minutes?
And there's only like that
show.
much out of the bottle. All right, welcome back to the We Is Smart podcast. We've been on this little music journey as our topic, as we've gone from our favorite albums. Last week we talked about artists, which we had homework at the end. So we'll get into our homework, which, yes, Tommy K, before I say what
Went
our
to recess.
You're in detention, so you have no recess.
Oh, okay.
So the homework from last episode was, what are your top 5 favorite artists? So, and I did say you could have honorable mentions on this since I had like 4 on my albums one last week, which I was good. I will have to point out, I was good this week and I don't have any. So I kept it at top 5. So
Good boy.
yes. It was. I'll give you. It was tough because as we were talking off air, there are some that you could put in there, but at the same time you could switch them out. I mean, there's so many that it's like a revolving door. You know, when it comes to, especially for me, I don't know about anybody else, but there's just so many. It's like, well, I listen to this group or artist a lot, but at the same time, I listen to this group or artist a lot as well. Where do I put them? So it was very hard. But anyways, who wants to go first?
I went first last week, so it's Tommy's turn.
So top 5 artists.
Top 5 favorite artists. And they don't have to be in order or anything like
No
that.
particular order. Rush, The Who, Pink Floyd, U2, and REM.
That was pretty okay.
Yeah, Rush.
That's what it's been like.
Floyd and R.E.M. That's 4.
Rush, The Who, Pink Floyd, U2, REM.
Oh, you said U2.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear that. I thought you meant me too. I thought you were saying I like those.
All right.
I am wearing,
that, Tommy K.
Joshua Tree shirt or whatever. I think for U2, for me, all the way up to Joshua Tree and maybe Rattle and Hum. Thereafter, it kind of got a little, I'm not going to say weird, just not to my liking.
Yes.
Kind of thing. It's like with Rush, watching documentaries, you hear artists say, Rush, that Gene Simmons, highly promoted Rush kind of thing, and you hear all these artists. And then you had someone say, when they started doing the keyboards and all that, I just didn't get into it kind of thing. So it's like
they actually only veered off like maybe 1 or 2 albums. They tried, where they actually tried some.
Like in the 80s.
Yeah. But for the most part, they were pretty, true to form, I guess, would be a good way of putting it.
They were trying to get into that new wave type thing that was going on at that time. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to see how it would mesh with what they've already done. But
no matter what they did, it's not as bad as Steven Tyler singing country music. So
true, very true. So
you know what? One of his greatest songs would have been, "Oh, Sheriff, I'm on my own."
Gosh.
Wait a minute, that's a different Steve Perry.
That was Steve Perry.
Journey. Tom's on a journey somewhere.
He's on a journey to nowhere. All right, Gary, do you want to go next or
Oh
do you want me
boy.
to?
I can go.
Okay.
Obviously, we all have similar tastes, but I actually got an honorable mention
Okay.
one because it was really hard. But and this is in no particular order.
Okay.
And Elton John, listened to Elton John a bunch,
Nice.
and liked a lot of, and still like a lot of his music.
Mm-hmm.
The Moody Blues, one of my favorite 33 and a third RPM bands.
Okay.
What happened to the other 2/3? No, I'm kidding.
I always wondered that.
Great, there's math involved with this record playing.
Tom Petty.
Ooh, good one.
Okay.
You think about it, man. He just had so many really good
Yes.
songs. Pink Floyd, of course, and Rush. I think we
Mhm.
all have those in common. And
Yep.
my honorable mention is actually Black Sabbath. I listened to,
Oh, yeah.
especially when I was younger, I listened to Black Sabbath a bunch.
That's
So
Bob Dylan.
Black Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Yeah.
Sweet leaf, man.
Sweet leaf. Right.
Sweet leaf.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Well, like I said, I kept mine at a top 5. There is no honorable mention this time around. In no particular order, but Pink Floyd, of course, is on my list. And actually, I probably would put them at number 1 if it was a top. Prince, because I've always loved, ever since Purple Rain came out, I've been hooked on being a Prince fan. I mean, I was probably a closet Prince fan for so long. But, once a lot of this stuff came out in the 90s, like Gold Experience. I love that album.
And then you came out of the closet.
I came out of the closet, yes. Exactly. No, we used to play that at Media Play all the time. We always play because we couldn't play it during the store hours, but we could play it before the store opened. But so we'd always play it all the time. So I love that album. George Strait, of course. Billy Joel, which I've never really talked about, but I've always liked him. I actually saw the documentary not too long ago. I may have talked about it on here. It's one of those documentaries that you have to really sit and watch the whole thing. It's like 2 episodes and they're like 2.5 hours long each. So it's like a 5-hour documentary just about his life and everything. And it's an excellent documentary. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on HBO Max. If you have it, watch it. I loved it. I even did a review on it after I watched it. That's how much it I liked it.
Title of it?
Now it's slipped.
Piano Man.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, man.
Has to be.
And So It Goes, I think is the name of it.
Oh.
Let's see.
You can always tell when B-Dub is looking it up because his eyes shift.
Yeah, and So It
They're
Goes.
like, I'm looking this way now.
Yeah.
Bill's a lot like Tom Petty. He had just had hit after hit after hit after hit, and you kind of forget because.
Yeah. Well, and that thing, when you brought up Tom Petty, I was like, he was actually one of the ones I was trying to put in my top 5, and I'm like, I couldn't because it's like, this last one I have, it's like, and there's a reason why, and we're going to talk about it today, was Garth Brooks. And I mentioned about him last week. I mean, there, as I've talked about, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks when we talk about music, artist, albums, song, no matter what it is, they hit you differently. Certainly it's like certain songs will hit you a certain way, certain albums will hit you a certain way where you hear it and you're just like, you're drawn to it. And to me, these top 5, I'm drawn to. Not saying I'm not drawn to anybody else, because that's a lot of drawing. But but
a different kind of artist.
Yeah, but like I said, I was sitting there with actually 4 and 5 blank for half the week, trying to figure out who I'm going to put in that spot, those 2 spots, because I just could not think because I was thinking the Beatles. I had them in, at least in my top 10. I'm like, do I put them in my top 5? Because I've watched all the documentaries. I've listened to most, if not all, the albums. It's like I'm starting to listen to most of the books concerning the band members or the band alone. It's like, do I put them in my top 5? It was like, are they elite to be in my top 5? So it was just, but those, those are my top 5. And like I said, it gets into our topic for today.
Can
If we're
I
done with
add
our,
something to what you were saying
yeah,
before we
go
get
ahead.
into that topic? Because you're right. You know, you could expand that list and add to it, blah, blah, blah. It's just like saying, who's the greatest guitar player
Yeah,
in history kind of thing. You could say Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Pete Townshend, whatever. It's very debatable kind of thing. And so with what you said, Led Zeppelin is like kind of like the pinnacle for me. I didn't mention them in my top 5, but Led Zeppelin I could play and listen to endlessly because I
hmm
enjoy them so much, a lot of
yeah,
history, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't include, I didn't mention them in my top 5. I don't
yeah,
know. I'm not saying that makes them
Well, I
the
agree with
best
that.
band ever, but
yeah, yeah,
I agree with
yeah,
that. Led Zeppelin, I listened to them a lot too, but
yeah.
that's why it was hard to kind of
And
compress the
yeah, it
list.
is.
yeah,
It's hard to come up with a top 5 because, I mean, like I said, the Beatles for me, Van Halen, even Def Leppard. I mean, those are different bands that bands that I would think of that I listen to a lot as well. Hootie and the Blowfish, I've talked about for the past 2 episodes. I didn't put them in my top 5. So it's like it's tougher than you think. But I do have a bonus question before we get to the topic. So, out of your top 5, which 2 would you like to meet and have a meal with, and why?
Hmm.
And you don't really have to say the why part. I just added that in there.
I would,
Okay. If I may ask, okay, like for instance, the Who I
Yeah.
mentioned is one of my favorite bands. Unfortunately, 2 of the members.
If they're
Are you talking
dead or
like
alive,
if okay?
dead or alive.
Gary, are you ready, or you want me
oh, I
to
can go. I can go
go ahead then,
if you want
please?
me to. Yeah. Well, I think number one just has to be Rush, just
Yeah.
because, mostly because of the writing and that a lot of the songs were stories.
Yeah.
And I mean, 2112, the whole A side of 2112 was just a continuous story. Every song, was the beginning of the story and the end of the story. And I would just like to talk to them just to see, how'd you come up with these stories, and
hmm
how could you sound so good when you're only a 3-person band, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Rush would probably be number one. Number two, it might be Elton John, just because he's like one of the greatest artists and of all time, and I just think it'd be interesting to talk about him and his life and so on and so forth. And yeah.
BW, want me to go or?
I mean, I can go if you want, unless you're ready.
Go ahead.
All right. Mine too. My 2 would actually be, the first one would be the Piano Man, Billy Joel. Uh, like I said, I just got done watching that documentary a couple months ago, and the biggest thing I learned about him, which I would love to like expand on, is every song he wrote. Not saying that that other singer songwriters don't do this. Every song he wrote was about something that happened in his life. I mean, he would not write about something that did not happen in his life. So everything, all his songs are about something that happened in his life, and were about people that were in his life. And that was one thing that was just that kind of struck me. So it's one of those things where you just want to talk about those certain songs, like, want to go deeper in. Like Piano Man was about when he worked at a piano bar in, I believe it was L.A., with his then wife or girlfriend, and that's how that whole song came about. So it's interesting to hear it. The other one would be Garth Brooks, just because of all the stuff that he has done in his career, even before, just just to pick his brain a little bit, just to see what know what he's all about. Just go a little deeper. So,
Cool.
But those are my two.
For me, first would be Rush. I mean, so intriguing. Everything just along the lines of what you were saying, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched several documentaries on them. Not
Yeah.
several, but to hear their story is so. Yeah, I would love to meet Neil Peart. I would have loved to meet Neil Peart, talk with him and stuff. And they would say he was very shy. Going to concerts, he wouldn't do the meet and greet and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember Getty saying it wasn't that he was, what's the phrase, nose in the air or whatever.
Unsociable.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
He was
he was just shy,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I would just love to.
He was an introvert.
Sit down and have a coffee, just talk.
Yeah.
Because I could see that with them, kind of thing, and just intriguing. The other I think would be the Who. For me, I think it was very interesting how Roger was on an episode of CSI. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it was like, how cool is that? It's kind of cool, et cetera, et cetera. But I would also love to talk to them about the Woodstock experience.
Yeah.
To watch with for me, hands down, the greatest concert experience ever in history. To talk to a member that performed at that. What was it like? Kind of thing. Again, that's just my opinion, but the original Woodstock, it's phenomenal for me. Honorable mention, if I may. This is my turn for honor. Nickelback.
Okay.
Some people might be like, "Oh, Nickelback, can't stay." Here's why, though. Did see a documentary on them.
Yep.
Where they talked about how they just exploded on the airwaves, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's where people really started to dislike them, or because they were overplay, if you will.
Yeah.
But watching a documentary, I cannot remember his name. It's my mental struggles, if you will. But the half brother, of the lead singer, he had a stroke. In that documentary, he talked about he had a stroke. Well, that hit me very personally to heart because I've had him, and I actually reached out to him via Facebook and Messenger and stuff, and we talked and chatted for a little bit. That meant a lot to me, and to be able to sit down and just share, kind of thing, would far exceed, anybody's success or, whatever you want to call it. To get to know a person one-on-one, I think that's me. Conversing with somebody, I'd rather do it face-to-face, or, even like this. We're face-to-face to some degree.
No.
As opposed to texting or whatever, That's just my take on who I would want to meet, kind of thing.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, you mentioned Woodstock when you were talking about the Who, and that actually kind of gets into our topic for this week, which is about concerts, your live experience. So, my first thing is, what was the first concert that you went to?
For me, it was REO Speedwagon headlining with Survivor opening.
Okay. Gary?
I believe it was Boston. Then their first ever tour to promote their first ever album. It was very awesome. It was at Vets Memorial in Columbus.
Nice.
What a great venue that was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Is the Vet still around?
It's there, but it's not. I mean, I don't even know what it is now. I think it's like I don't know if it's a conference hall now. I don't even know. They don't use it as a concert venue anymore. I don't even know what they use it as. I know that.
Remember Stryper, the band Stryper? I went and saw them at the Vet. I'm sorry, but the drummer was throwing Bibles and he was going for the balcony.
I don't know if they didn't play more than once, then we was at the same concert because I was there. I got
How
hit in the head
cool
with
is
one
that?
of the Bibles.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did get
But
one
I
though.
remember the crowd was like, he'd throw one and it would fall short, and the crowd would be like, oh. He'd grab another one and go, 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 oh. And then when we finally made it, everybody was just going nuts, like, yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, my first one, and I've already talked about it before, was Pink Floyd at Ohio Stadium in 1988. Great. Like I said, I didn't even know what a Pink Floyd was before I went to that show, and that's how I became a Pink Floyd fan, was because of that concert right there. That was an amazing experience. Being my first concert ever, but the fact that I've seen many concerts since then, but it was just amazing. Being an outdoor concert too. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
great. So
I was there too, man.
yeah,
I've never been. I wish I could have went to a Pink Floyd concert, but seeing live concerts, videos on TV or
yeah,
what have you, I'm watching them. There could I can't even think of anybody else that could outdo what Pink Floyd did musically
no,
and theatrically and everything else in their shows, because it was they were just amazing
yeah.
shows.
I mean, it almost makes you want to think. I would have loved to seen like the Wall live.
Hmm.
You know, like actually be there watching the whole concert. The Wall live. That would have been awesome. I mean, yes, I've seen it on TV, not the movie, the actual concert, because there's a difference, folks. There is a difference.
Yeah, there is a
So,
difference.
but getting to my next thing, what was the last concert you went to? Mine was actually this year, Rascal Flats at Nationwide, and I was actually dragged there. I'm going to point that out because
Oh,
my
no.
sis my sister didn't have anybody to go with, so she decided to ask me, and I said, "All right."
You're a good brother.
You know what? I will actually say this: it was actually not a bad show. I mean, I have never seen Rascal Flats, with them being from Columbus. It was actually a pretty good show. I was actually shocked. I mean, I wasn't sure because like I said, I haven't really listened. Really haven't been listening to mainstream country music for years. So the fact that I was going to it, I mean, I was actually very shocked with it.
Mm.
I actually had a good time. I mean,
Hmm.
so, even though I had to work at 2 o'clock in the morning right afterwards, so that was a wonderful night. But anyways, who's next?
Okay, for me, it, I'm not sure timeline. Like what year, blah blah
Yeah,
blah. Um, I'm not sure about this one, but I went up to Bowling Green, from where I live down south, to a little bar called Howard's, where a guy and his band played Tommy at this small venue. I
yeah,
mean, going to college at Bowling Green, Howard's was the place to go, for concerts and
yeah,
fun, et cetera, et cetera. But going to that show was just phenomenal. They played it so well, and there too. I love that album, and excuse me, to sing along with it was just so fun with my buddies and stuff. So that was probably my last. Or saw U2 in 2017 at Cleveland for their 30th anniversary of Joshua Tree. So I guess if you were to say that was my last big concert, and then the other
yeah,
one was smaller venue,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
highlight for that Joshua Tree experience at Cleveland.
yeah,
So we're hungry, right? I go down and I get a couple drinks and popcorn and nachos, and I'm walking up the steps, and we were way up. We were maybe 10 rows from the top, and I could see where everybody was, and so I'm just walking up the thing, and me being silly and whatnot, I just call out, nachos,
yeah.
$50, nachos, $50. And the people around were kind of giggling and stuff. And then all of a sudden, the tray just went boop, and the nachos went right on the steps, And
Did you say
you,
half
you,
price?
well,
Yeah,
I, I, you could hear the people around me going, oh, because it full tray of food. And I just stood there for a second looking down at the nachos on the step. I felt bad. And next thing I know, I felt a tap on my leg, and I looked down, and the guy handed me like a stack of napkins. And I started laughing, and I started to scoop it up or whatever. And another guy said, "Man, just leave it. It's okay." I said, "I can't. This is like a main traffic path. I can't do that." So I scooped it all up back onto the carry tray, sat there, looked at it for a moment, looked around. Slightly used taco or nachos, $25, $25. People laughed, and then I moved on humbly away. I'm so embarrassed, but like I said, people were drawn, like they empathized, or
Yes.
sympathized, whatever, that to drop. And oh man, I was so looking forward to eating them. Yeah. Okay. I guess quick bonus squirrel question: would you eat
No.
said nachos from the step?
No.
What about if it's, it lands, but the stuff on top?
Only if you paid me $1 million, I would.
I might eat it. You
might.
scoop
Oh, I
off
thought you said
what
you might pay me
hasn't
$1 million.
touched
I mean, I'm like, okay.
Anyway, that's my answer.
All right. So, what was your best experience at a concert?
Gary didn't answer.
I thought you did.
No, I did not.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
Watching out for you, buddy.
Was Trans-Siberian Orchestra about
Okay.
maybe 4 years ago in Columbus.
Nice.
Or maybe
Nationwide.
just before COVID, I think. Wow.
Christmas
3
show,
hours.
or
Pardon? Christmas.
was it
Well,
like the Christmas show, or
Yep.
yeah, the Christmas show was in December.
Is that nationwide?
Took me and a friend who we share birthdays. A group, their church took us for our birthdays. Yeah, I was at Nationwide. It was 3 hours, and it was just like it was amazing. That's all I can say. Had great seats and everything. So
Nice.
you got your money's worth, for a 3-hour show.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right. Now that everybody's answered, I kind of gave the question already. What was your best experience at a concert?
Okay. I'll go first then.
Okay.
Maybe not the best, because there's several, but
Yeah. Or one of the best.
One of the best. I saw Peter Frampton at the State Theater up in Detroit.
Okay.
And this is maybe early 90s. We go there, and the rest of the band is in the, the spandex and tight clothing, long hair, the 80s thing or whatever. And they're playing, like introduction or whatever. And then out walks Peter. He didn't have the long hair, but, it's like kind of like the Bon Jovi look. You remember when Bon Jovi went into acting? He started to, cut. It was kind of like that. But he was in blue jeans and a white T-shirt.
Huh.
Just there. The image I received from that was he's just there to play and to entertain, not, show the frizzle and the frazzle and blah, blah, blah. It was just so cool, and I'm not knocking the bandmates for, being dressed that way. I'm just talking about the image, because you think Peter Frampton would have been right in sync with that, based on his rocking experience. And no, he was just T-shirts and a white T-shirts.
It's Peter Frampton.
T-shirts for sale. One more, if I may.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the Cleveland area, they had the Flats many moons ago. Bars and venues, whatever, blah blah blah. We had gone. I think it was a Browns-Bills playoff game, and the Browns won. Afterward, we went to the Flats. Place was packed. We're walking around, and we go to this one place, and we hear this music from inside. It's like, man, that's really good. And we walk in, and the place was, quote unquote, like a dive. Meaning there was like maybe 2 pool tables, the bar, and that was about it. It wasn't a very big place, but up they had a stage, if you will. Joe Satriani playing to a crowd of maybe 30 to 40 people.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my gosh, love Joe Satriani too, so that was very. I'm getting goosebumps telling about it.
Well, because it's one of those things you weren't even expecting, and you just kind of walked into. It was like a surprise.
Yeah. So those are my two, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I have more written down, but
All right, Gary, you got any?
Yeah, the one that really sticks out, there's a couple actually, like Tom said, but one that really sticks out is at Polaris in Columbus, which is another venue that's not a venue anymore.
It's not
That's how
around
old I
anymore.
am. But Phil Collins in
Okay.
concert. Now, number one, the concert was something to behold because, like, the whole entire first set was like with the orchestra and
Mhm.
orchestral and a lot of the Genesis songs and so on and so forth. And um, during the intermission, this is what, and then in the second half, he did like acoustic kind of type of stuff, a lot of his own stuff in the second half. But what really stuck out was, if you remember, one of their big hits at that time, one of his big hits at that time was Another Day in Paradise,
Oh yeah.
and kind of an ode to homeless people, I guess you might say. But before he went on break to change outfits and get the stage set up for the second half, he comes out and he says, they played Another Day in Paradise, and he says, I want to ask you guys. So I know that a lot of you are getting ready to go to the concession stand and get some beers and get some this and get some that, and maybe buy a concert T-shirt and so on and so forth. I want you to think about, instead of buying a concert T-shirt this time, we are selling videos, which is behind the scenes at one of our concerts, and all the proceeds are going to help the homeless. He said, I'm not receiving anything out of that. And that will be more satisfying than any T-shirt you could buy or take home or anything. And I just so appreciated that he took the time to do that. And
Nice.
wow.
yeah, so and then there was another thing that happened in that concert. There was a rather flamboyant male couple that was sitting right down from us, and they was getting into it, and this was not a good thing, but they were getting into it, and they were standing up and just clapping and cheering and dancing and this and that and everything. These people behind them hollered at them, "Would you guys just sit down? I'm trying to enjoy this concert." And I'm thinking, well, they're kind of trying to enjoy it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
They paid for their seats. They're
they paid
using
for
it.
those seats too. And there was something to what they said. You need to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
aware of people around you too. But
Yes. Exactly.
but that concert, obviously, it was just professional, well done concert anyway. So yeah, Phil
Mhm.
Collins at Polaris is mine.
All right. Well, I kind of already mentioned my Pink Floyd experience being one of my best ones, but my other one would actually when I saw Garth Brooks in Cleveland at Richfield. Um, it was actually the first time I saw him. I've seen him 4 times, and that one was probably, I would say, probably the best one I've seen of him. But he is a entertainer. I mean, if you ever heard them mention Garth Brooks as an entertainer, he is an entertainer. I mean, he is everywhere on that stage. I mean, the way they always have his stages built. I mean, he sells tickets behind the stage, in the bleachers. So he's like going around that stage. He's at one point he was strapped to like like canopy, whatever that is, where he is like up in the air and flying all over the arena. Just this man is an entertainer. So it's if you ever see one of his concerts, I mean, he probably can't do half the stuff he did 30 years ago, but I mean,
Can any of us?
but even when we saw him at the Schottenstein Center, I think 8 years ago, he still put on a great show. I mean, he's still getting around that stage like he's 30 years younger, like he was in the 90s. So I would probably put Garth up there as one of the best experiences concert wise.
Brian,
I mean,
I can't even remember half the things I did 30 years ago.
I mean, it's hard for me. Well, you actually mentioned this about the couple that was sitting down from you that was enjoying it, and I actually had an experience like that up at Polaris when we went and saw Hootie and the Blowfish. I mean, we were standing up, clapping and cheering and stuff. And I had people behind us going, "Hey, can you sit down, please?" And I understand that, and I actually said that. What I just said, it's like, hey, I paid for these seats. I'm enjoying the show. Everyone's There was but I was being. I mean, I'm trying to be considerate to people, but at the same time, it was a fast song. We were dancing. We were having a good time. I try to be anytime I go anywhere, if it's a Blue Jackets game, a football game, a concert, I try to be considerate to people, especially as I get older, because I'm becoming that grumpy old man now. But it's like,
Yeah,
I,
go on.
but at the same time, if I'm enjoying myself, I try at the same time to enjoy myself. If people stand up, I will stand up too. First of all, because I want to see.
Right.
Second of all, it's like, I mean, it's just you're there for a reason. You paid for the ticket. You want to enjoy it. So, anyway, but that kind of gets into my next question. Since we talked about best experience, let's talk about what your worst experience in concert. And it could be dropping nachos in the aisle and having to pick them up and
It
stuff like
actually
that.
is not. That is not.
I
the
didn't say it
worst
was,
moment.
but I mean, if you have any worst experiences,
You want me? And
If you
I'll
got
start.
it, go ahead.
Okay. Sadly, Boston. Saw him in Toledo. It was middle of June or maybe July, so it was hot, and we were kind of to the side. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Great musicianship. Tom Schultz, great guitars, phenomenal guitars.
Mm-hmm.
But they just, to me, based on that experience, just not concert performers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're just a studio band. I mean, I dozed off. I remember, hey, wake up. I dozed off. That's how it was. It just, and again, the heat and all that may have, temperature, all that, those factors can come into play, et cetera, et
3
cetera.
cases of beer you had beforehand.
You say that, I have to share this. When I saw Pink Floyd on the Momentary Lapse tour,
Yeah,
B-Dub,
88. Yep.
in Pontiac, Michigan, and I was dressed. I had camouflage pants on, military boots. I had t-shirt, cut off, hair spiked kind of thing. I don't know. I can't explain that. But anyway, I'm in the restroom. I'm at the urinal. Guy next to me at the urinal, he looks over to me. He's like, "Dude, do you have any Quaaludes?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm all out."
They're my other pants.
I wasn't that extreme, if you will, but I just remember that so well. It's like, why would he even ask me that? And then I realized maybe because of my look. I don't know
what you're wearing. Okay.
But,
Gary,
I kind of have two as well that are,
right.
And then and it's surprisingly similar stories to Tommy Kaye's.
Okay.
The first one is an artist that I really like and like his music. And I mean, he's not one of the greatest, artists of all time or anything, but it's Jackson Browne. Went and saw Jackson Browne down at what's the venue in Cincinnati where you worked for a while?
Riverbend. Is it Riverbend?
Riverbend. We went down to Riverbend. It was the most boring concert that I have ever been to in my entire life. And I like the music, but they weren't playing the music loud. The crowd wasn't getting into it. And much like Tom, I felt like falling asleep during the concert. So, I mean, yeah. So I was disappointed because, like I said, I like Jackson Browne too. And just like I like Boston a whole lot. But, these guys probably, it might have been like the 60th tour, the 60th stop on the tour, and they were getting tired. And, we don't know what the circumstances are. But anyway. And then the other one is another similar to kind of Tom's it was another at Betts Memorial again. It was Black Sabbath. And and it was in the winter, and I had a kind of a heavy coat on with fur coming out of it and stuff. And I don't know what I looked like, but I apparently looked like a drug dealer because I walked in to the front doors. Of course, you go into the front doors, that gets you into the atrium or what have you.
Yeah.
One of the front doors, I got stopped, and they said, "We want to search you." So I'm like, "All right." So they patted me down, and I had nothing, of course. And so I'm like, I look at my ticket and figure out which door to need to go in. I go into that door, and there's a security guard standing there. they searched me at that one too.
Wow, Gary, you must have
and
good
then,
luck.
Hey, buddy,
and then I
you
went.
want to buy a watch?
The funniest part is, and it was a good concert, but the funniest part is, I went to the bathroom during intermission, and I got high just in the atmosphere of the
Just for
Just
for obvious reasons.
the surface buzz.
yeah, that sounds like that. That sounds like that Pink Floyd show. I mean, you can get that surface buzz. I mean, you don't even have to. I was like 14 years old, and I'm like sitting here on a high, not even doing anything. I mean, like, wow, that's why it was my best experience.
Yeah, I could even understand Ozzy Osbourne speaking, if that tells you anything.
So that's how it works.
uh,
It's just like listening to the wall or watching the wall.
Yes. Yes. I don't think I can't remember any like worst experience that stand out.
Okay,
Not
moving
saying
on. Next question.
Well, yeah, that's fine because I can't really think of any that I had where I mean I probably have, but I think I've seen some concerts sometimes that I can't, like Gary said earlier, I don't remember what I did 30 years ago on some occasions. So moving
I
on.
got a substitute for you. You can have
Okay.
this story. I volunteered to go to help with some handicapped folks to go to a concert at
Okay.
Schottenstein Arena, and it was the "Oh Brother, How Art Thou" or "Where Art Thou" tour.
Okay.
And that movie had come out by then. It was
Yeah.
all bluegrass music and stuff like that, which I'm not a big fan, but some of it was okay. But so I go into Schottenstein, this big venue.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of people there anyway. They got the stage set up, and I don't know if it's they couldn't afford to use the sound system that was there at the venue, but they brought their own, and you couldn't even hardly hear them singing because the sound system was so bad.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I'm just like, and this is music I don't even like that well anyway.
Well, I guess it worked out then because you couldn't hear them. So,
I felt bad for the people that I was, volunteering with, but.
All right, two more things. First one, what artist have you seen the most live? I can start with this one if you guys need to think, because this one actually is surprising because it's a person I haven't even talked about, but I've seen her. It's a her, first of all, the most live. Trisha Yearwood.
How many times?
8.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and a lot of it is because when I mean by seeing them live, they could have been with somebody else, and a lot of times she was with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she opened for Garth a few times. She's opened for she did some headlining herself, and she actually did some joint stuff.
That's the one I know now.
Here.
She co-main event. Let me rephrase that. She co-main event with somebody
on the
else.
Quadrophenia tour.
Yeah. So yeah, that one actually surprised me the most. That I've seen her that many times, and I'm like that's weird. But when you break it down like that, makes sense. So yeah, I've seen her the most live. When it comes to that, but
For me, the most is 3 times, and it's U2. However, some might say, yeah, but it's the same concert. It was all Joshua Tree. Twice when the album came out,
Doesn't
saw
matter.
him in Pontiac,
Well, they're different
Michigan,
concerts, yeah.
and Cleveland.
yeah,
And the Cleveland show I have to share was old Cleveland Municipal Stadium.
yeah,
And he started to sing MLK, included in the lyrics of Let It Rain. It started sprinkling
nice.
as he was singing that. It was just like, oh my gosh, kind of thing. But yeah, I saw U2 3 times, saw Rush twice. I got to see The Who on their 25th anniversary tour. It was just John, Roger, and Pete. Listen to me like I know them first name basis. Yeah.
We have lunch every week.
I will say this: I was so amazed. This is one eye-opening experience because in the Rolling Stone article, or they interviewed them for the upcoming tour or whatever, and Pete Townsend just kept saying adamantly, I don't do the windmills anymore. It bloodied my fingers too much. I don't do them. I don't do them. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, but I'm sure that's, I had a disappointment, still going, yes, but it was just like, oh.
But you got to understand at the same time
Well,
why.
we had 17th row tickets, which was awesome. But the first song, windmills, and I'm like, game on, baby, game on, and a great show. So anyway,
It's like riding a bike. You can't get
yeah,
away from it.
yep.
That's what it is. That's like that. You just gave me another question too, though. I had on the end of this one after Gary goes.
The only artist that I can think of that I actually saw more than once, which I saw Chris Tomlin twice. He's a Christian artist. I saw him in Spirit Fest at Kings Island and at a conference in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And he was one of the artists that played for that. And he's a good artist too. So, yep, that's the only one I can think of. I mean, I'm getting old, so, my brain cells are going. So,
let's go back 30 years. Ask the same question.
And continuing on this, I mean, I could add, I said Trisha word, I could add somebody else, but I actually worked for him. So I saw him technically every night that I worked for him, and that was Clay. Because I mean, I saw, and the funny thing is, I saw him less times as a performer when I wasn't working for him than when I actually was working for him, if that makes sense at all. But anyways, because Tom kind of mentioned this about sitting, being close to 17 rows from the. Do you prefer sitting up close for a concert, or do you prefer sitting like on a riser or something where you can kind of?
I'll go first if I haven't in a while.
Gary.
But the only concert that I sat really close at was Moody Blues with the Columbus Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
And I was in the second row, just left of center, and it was freaking amazing. It's hard to say. So yeah, I kind of preferred that. But sitting halfway back or even 3/4 way, if you're up high enough to be able to see the whole stage and stuff, I enjoy that too. Like Tom said, I was clearing the top a couple times, and I don't enjoy that so much.
No.
I mean,
especially when you drop nachos.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
If Brian, do you want to go or you want me to go?
I mean, that's up to you.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Now I forgot what the question was.
Have you ever dropped nachos at a concert?
Do you prefer dropping them on the floor, or do you prefer dropping them
on the floor close to the stage or as far back?
Crunch. I'm still eating them to this day. No.
You saved them.
Proximity was the question.
Yes.
I've seen some close. I've seen some. I did the Sesame Street near.
Far. Okay.
One of my favorite memories, I guess, was seeing U2 at Pontiac Silverdome. We were in the second deck, but we were on the rail. So nobody was in front of us. We had
That's always a good thing.
Perfect view. Here's the kicker of it. My two buddies that I went play drums, okay? And, so there's a hand railing, and they're just tapping away with the song, playing with the song because they're big U2 fans, et cetera, et cetera. There are like three girls to my left that after a while, they're like, can you stop that banging? It's annoying. And we're like, huh? We're at a concert, and plus these guys play the drums. So from there, after we kept kind of glancing over, like, they're not even into the show, they're just kind of sitting there watching. And then Bono stepped out to the front of the stage and reached down and took this painting, I should say, of Martin Luther King. And he held it up to the crowd. And these girls just went nuts. There's Judy's painting. Oh my gosh, there's Judy's painting. That was the only excitement they showed throughout the whole show, was that their friend's painting was pulled up by Bono and shared with the crowd. Yeah, that's a great story, etc.
Yeah.
But it was just like, they're not even into the show. They're just more worried about that, you know. And it was
Yeah.
just like these are. But anyway, they were great seats. Like I said,
That wasn't
nobody
their
in
best.
front.
That wasn't their best experience.
Probably not, because you had some yahoo sitting next to them. Just
Drumming away on a rail.
right.
So, truly, I mean, I've sat both up close because I think when I saw Hank Williams Jr. at the fair, I was like second row all the way to the right. And I've sat in the lower bleachers. I've sat up high. I prefer sitting, depending on what venue it is, I prefer sitting back a little bit and up, like on right. Because I did sit on the floor for Billy Joel at Schottenstein, but we were like all the way in the back corner. And I'm sorry, that sucked.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
so
can see that.
not all floor seats are great.
Mm-mm.
No matter what anybody says. I rather would have sat up, in the riser, along the lower bowl than sit on the floor. Because at least I could kind of see the whole band. So because even when I go to Blue Jackets games, I'd rather sit in the upper bowl. I mean, I don't mind sitting in the lower bowl, but I have to sit up a little bit. I don't like sitting up next to the glass because I can't see the whole ice. I want to be able to see the whole ice. I want to be, it's like when I go, hold on,
That's a good experience because I've been up close to the
yeah.
glass before.
Yeah,
But
it's a
you're
great
right. I'd rather
experience.
watch it from up high.
Yeah. I mean, it's like watching a football game or even watching a baseball game. You want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to sit behind home plate, or it's great to sit at the 50-yard line, but you want to sit up a little bit so you can actually see the whole field. Go ahead, Tom.
I raised my hand. I don't want to interrupt you. That's
Did
why
I
I'm
finish?
raising my
Yes.
hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
R40, Rush's 40th anniversary tour, whatever, saw him at Nationwide Arena in Columbus. That was a whim. Buddy called me and said, "Hey, do you want to go see Rush?" Yeah, okay. Well, he and his, I believe, brother-in-law were down in 14th row. My ticket was way up, second deck or way up.
Yeah.
I actually was able to find where they were sitting because we coordinated, turn your flashlight on your phone and let me look. I tried to count back how many, and I was able to capture it. And, I took a picture, circled it, blah, blah. But I mean, that was just like, how cool is that? I found my buddies at a show. We met before the show, outside and stuff like that. But thereafter, it was just that was an awesome experience. Even sitting way, way back.
Yeah.
With no nachos at that show.
Again, depending on the show, like, when we saw Pink Floyd, we were on, like, if you've ever been to Ohio Stadium, we were like on the home team side, like where the press boxes are, but we were in like A deck, like half, most of the way up in A deck. Probably about, if I remember, 40, like past the 50-yard line. So we were about halfway from the stage. Yeah, I mean, it was a good. About what?
We were on the floor for that show.
Like I said, that's fine.
I was on the floor for that show. No,
I was invited to that show. Like I said, I didn't know what Pink Floyd was before going to that show. I was 14 years old, and my friend invited me because his uncle had an extra ticket, and I asked him, if he wanted to take anybody, and he invited me, and I'm like, okay.
And again, that was the first rock show or concert in the shoe, correct? I thought that's what they had advertised it as, kind of thing.
So,
if I may share one more experience, okay. When I worked at the station in Toledo, Rock Station, every Friday during the summer they had what was called Rally by the River.
Yeah.
Promenade Park. They'd have a stage set up, depending on the venue. Which station would be the promoter for it, kind of like, so anybody rock, well, this station would. Spirit, I don't know if you recall Spirit. I know it's classic rock, blah blah blah, but our station, FM 104, was the hosting station or whatever, so we got backstage, if you will. Had the keg of beer, the free food, all that stuff, and access to front and center of the stage, kind of thing. That show, again, Spirit's not huge by any respect. They didn't make millions and millions, blah, blah, blah. But when they played, the one lady from the station, she worked in the traffic department, with
Mhm.
running the
Yeah.
commercials, et cetera, et cetera. And we're sitting there, and she said, I don't recall who Spirit is. And I was like, you don't know Spirit? She goes, no. I said, well, then let's not talk anymore. Pay attention. And we watched the show from there. And afterwards, she was like, wow, they were really cool and good, just a great experience.
Yeah.
With concerts, to me, that's the main thing, is the experience kind of
Yeah.
thing, which I'm reminded of one other one. Same venue, Raleigh by the River. It rained, and it was the Hooters
Yeah.
were supposed to play. The show was canceled, because of the rain and all that stuff. But they still had this big tent, if you will.
Mhm.
The lead singer and the guitarist stayed and did an acoustic show under that tent, and I
Nice.
was like 5 feet from them as they were playing, just to however many people, maybe 50 or so,
Yeah.
all under this tent. But they just played, just like out of the whim. It's like, how cool is that? That they, you know what? We're not going to let this dampen our spirits. We're going to play for these people. They came, they paid, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, and they did. And to be that close, even so, I guess that kind of goes with your question. What's the closest you've ever been?
Yeah.
That
That's the
right
close.
there is for me.
But actually kind of goes into my last question. What concert surprised you the most?
Hmm.
I mean, what artist surprised you the most? What one that you weren't looking forward to, but when you saw it, you actually were like, "Wow, this is great," or you were excited about it and you got there and you're like, "This sucks. The hell?"
I I'm sorry, I got to real quick though. REM saw him on the Green Tour at the Vet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great show. They played up to the crowd. Blah blah blah. How you doing, Columbus? Et cetera, et cetera. My buddy saw them on the same tour, Green Tour, up in the Toledo area. Like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months later, and he
Yeah.
said they were so boring. They didn't. They'd play a song and that here's our next song and play it. They never played up to the crowd, and he just said it was like you could have sat at home and just played the record,
But
you
yeah.
know, and
And
still get
sometimes
the
they
same
have concerts like
experience kind of
yeah.
thing or whatever. But more importantly, I worked at Riverbend in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and it was called the RSVP area. People would pay
Yeah.
extra to get perks, if you will. Chicago was the headliner for that show that evening. And I was in the far tent away. It was a packed crowd,
Yeah.
and I was tending the beer refrigerators, out there in that far tent.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't want to necessarily sell beer to people because the wait staff came to take people's. So I'm like, I would be stealing their money, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to do that kind of thing. But some people came up and blah blah blah. Well, after a while, this one lady came over, and she started to talk with me about how Chicago, they were there for her husband's 65th birthday. Chicago is his favorite band, and it was his first time ever seeing them.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, exactly. So after a little bit of time, I'm like, I'm going to point this out because this is just a great experience for the guy. So hey, everybody, if I could get your attention. And I just said, I want to ask a couple questions regarding tonight. Can you imagine being here to see Chicago? Raise your hand. Yeah, everybody's getting into it. Now imagine that it's your 65th birthday and you're seeing Chicago. Yeah, everybody's going crazy. Now add to it, Chicago is your favorite band, and this is the first time you've ever seen them in concert. How cool would that be? And everybody's like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then I said, well, we have that here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for, I forget his name, I'll say Doug,
Yeah.
I think. Give it up for Doug. Today is his 65th birthday, seeing his favorite band, Chicago, for the very first time. The crowd, that crowd in that tent just went nuts. Like, yeah! blah, blah, blah. And, he was like, thank you, kind of thing. Then they announced, okay, Chicago's getting ready to play, so everybody go get your seats, et cetera, et cetera. The wife came up to me, extended her hand to shake my hand, and had a $5 bill in her hand. She tipped me just for doing that for her husband, just making that kind of announcement.
So it's not that you didn't expect Chicago to be good. It's just because
Just experience, was just so
Yeah.
mind blowing for me. I mean, I'll remember that story you guys know me with stories, but
No, not you.
it took my breath away that she did that. Tipped me for just recognizing her husband's birthday, et cetera, to the rest of the people that were in the same tent.
Yeah.
I just was floored by that.
That's cool.
And that's a great experience for me, I guess.
Yeah.
And
All right, Gary, you got anything?
not really. I can't think
Not
of
really.
anything.
Nothing that surprised you.
Well, I mean, Jackson Brown experience, which you've
Yeah.
already talked
Some of
about.
you already. Yeah, you already talked.
He's beating
Yeah, same with me. I mean,
he's beating that dead horse, I guess.
yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, that's why I kind of threw it in there. If it's something you hadn't talked about already, I mean, I brought up Rascal Flatts. That concert actually surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to be not that they're not a good group and they couldn't put on a good concert, but it was actually a lot better than what I thought it would be. So especially for not really wanting to be there.
Well, I guess maybe if you're just talking about experience you had, not necessarily talking about the band, Tom brought up Stryper at Vets Memorial.
Yeah.
That was really cool because that was the only hard rock, because Stryper was a hard rock Christian band.
Yeah.
That was the only hard rock concert I ever went to where moms and dads was letting their kids off at the door of Vets Memorial to go watch the concert.
I mean,
I just thought that was kind of cool. I mean, you can see that at a Black Sabbath concert.
Yes. All right, Tommy K.
I will say this, Gary, based on what you were just saying, Motley Crue, saw him in Madison, Wisconsin with some buddies from college. That was a weird experience because there were parents there in the concert hall to see Motley Crue and Faster Pussycat opening. And it was like, what is going on here? At one point, and we had seats way up. It was kind of like the Vet, establishment, if you will. But we had seats way up, but we could see everything, which is really cool. But at one point, it's like, that's a dad walking up the steps with the tray of hot dogs and pop and popcorn at a heavy metal show. What is going on here?
He's hungry.
Yeah. Here you go, Junior. Hey, shout out to that one. But that was Tommy Lee doing his drum solos. He was in his cage and went up and over the crowd.
Yeah.
And spun around upside down, all that stuff, blah, blah. And that was phenomenal, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I'm gonna present this because usually I'm the one that kind of, since we're on this music journey, come up with the topic for next episode. But I actually have a couple choices, and I'm going to bring it to you guys to see which one we could talk about next time. So we can either talk about music genres or decades of music, meaning which decade of music was the best, or
I'd rather talk about decades.
Okay.
I almost said
than genres. Then actually,
what's the definition of a decade?
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
I'd have to agree with Gary because.
All right, that's fine. I was actually going. Yeah.
Huge.
Well, I was actually going towards decade. I mean, we'll get into genres at some point, but I wanted to see which one you guys were up for first. And I would, I was leaning towards decade, but I wanted to get you guys' opinion before. So we will, on our next episode, talk about decades of music, which ones we prefer over others, because I already know mine, but I'm going to share that on the next one. But anyways, Tommy K, you had a...
I want to say we don't have to do this today, blah, 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 but a top 10 list.
Okay.
Top 10 CDs that should not be played in your CD player.
Okay. Well, that's definitely something for next time.
I
We can
will
definitely do
save
it.
that.
We'll save that for next time. But until then,
Wait.
what?
Did you know that November 10th is National Sesame Street Day?
Yes.
Did you know that November 10th was the day that Edmund Fitzgerald wrecked?
That's
Yes.
right. 50-year anniversary coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say it's because I have a top 10 list of top 10 characters who did not make the cast of Sesame Street.
You did,
I
Oh.
do. Gary's like, oh. Moving on. I'll just say number one was Henry Hewlett and Peter Packard. Hewlett and Packard, their calculating skills were not as sound as the count.
I think the name alone gives it away.
I'll quit. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, we're out of time for this one, but we'll definitely. I know you do. But see, this was one of those topics that we could talk on forever, but we have to end it from here.
Gonna
So
say, create your own podcast. Top 10.
the good news is I'm not giving you any homework.
About time. I worried about that all week long. I have anxiety by the end of the week.
You're free. So there will be a pop quiz next week. So get ready for that. But
it's an essay
on pop music.
Yes, on pop music. Exactly. I'm glad you got that, Gary. Anyways, until next time, this is B-Dub.
Oh, Tommy K.
Dr. Lib.
And you've been watching the We Is Smart podcast.